so I was a transportation intern for the Evans network of companies. Worked with the Port of Philadelphia, so I was a lot of container shipments actually. So I basically had to calculate the
music to my ears.
Exactly. Yeah. So kind of calculating the charges for that. I found out that they actually charge the customer transportation to the facility and back. So you have to bring the container back to the port. So we did that. Also the yard audit. So when we had the containers attached to one of the trucks, I had to go around make sure that the proper containers with the proper truck. That can be issued tomorrow morning if they leave with the wrong container. After that, I became a sales intern for Aero Truck Sales, which is a little unrelated, but I got to call truck drivers and kind of get to know truck drivers, kind of know what they value and within a truck, as well as what they their daily looks like. I actually got to ride in the truck as well with the truck driver.
Oh, wow.
So that was pretty nice as well. I then
made for some good photo ops.
Yep, exactly. I then became a distribution operations intern for the TJX companies. So I worked in the Marshall's facility, distribution center. So I kind of just managing associates with all the language barriers and things that they have as well. Also, learning about shrink. So like when something in the facility gets lost or mishandled, now it's gone. Now we have to kind of charge this to the customer, but we don't actually have that pallet information. So we end up losing money in that sense. We end up losing the labor costs trying to find the missing pallet and things of that nature. So that was pretty good to hear as well, learning that. And also we had like 3 different shifts as well. Kind of learning that each shift had their different priorities and different ways of operating things. So kind of having to mesh all 3 together to get on the same page was also interesting.
Mine isn't as elaborate as that. I don't think I can follow up with that. But
still important nonetheless.
Yeah. So I actually started at a company called Arkema. And I first was a credit specialist, so it had nothing to do with supply chain. It was my freshman year. I just wanted that real world experience, kind of put my foot in the door. And there I was basically notifying our suppliers and vendors like, hey, you have credits due, you should pay them, type of stuff. And then I was also managing like their paperwork, so making sure that we had the correct paperwork so they could pay us. And then I returned at Arkema again on the data governance side of the supply chain, so it was very, very the forefront core part of the supply chain where if anything went wrong there, everything else was going down. Basically, data governance was we are the last line of defense between like fraud. So when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, if I make a mistake, we could like
stakes are high.
Yeah, like we could get like infiltrated basically. So my job was we were switching ERP systems, migrating information. So I took all of the supplier information. I called up our suppliers, asked for their updated information, and that was kind of a struggle because I was younger and they didn't want to give their personal information to me. I had to prove that I was interning there. So a lot of like customer relation skill sets, a lot of like getting over my fear of calling people, getting over my fear of like being yelled at, stuff like that, just managing a professional aspect in that realm. And then this past summer, I got to intern with Wawa, actually, on their fresh channel side. So anything that dealt with the bakery items, the build-to-order, like lettuce, tomato, onion stuff. That was an amazing experience because we also got to look at our suppliers, like Taylor Farms, as well as where they manufacture all of their teas and milks, being able to pull metrics out and see like our lead times, late driver metrics, overstocks, understocks, like being able to really analyze data and put it into a story was something that I learned there. So a lot of different kinds of experiences, I would say, from my internships, but they all, are collective. They're all transferable skills that I can use wherever.
Just like Rosie, I don't have a direct supply chain experience. I had 2 internships my sophomore year as a marketing intern. I interned with Tucker Company Worldwide. They are a third-party logistics and trucking. I came in as a marketing intern, but I kind of annoyed people in the operations side and the carrier side just so I can ask questions about how they deal with things, how when something doesn't seem right, how would they react and respond to those disruptions. And also I help with the customer experience side so that because they were building and improving their customer portal for visibility. And what I did was I contributed my feedback as a consumer. Like, for example, this is not an intuitive experience. I have to like navigate through these different tabs to be able to get what I want. So how can we improve it, and how can we upsell our service within that customer portal? And apart from that, in my experience, in my intern with America Royal, they're in the disposables industry, I asked the vice president of marketing as I first moved in there. I said, I am a supply chain major now. Can I please get on some projects with the supply chain team? I want the most exposure as I can getting out of here. So they put me on some of the projects with the supply chain team. I got on some calls when they talk about like sourcing from China, Vietnam, and I was on the project. So I helped them with the inbound logistics, just tracking different POs, and if these containers or these trucks if we can like wait like some time before we deliver it, or is it like an emergency that we have to push it forward? And I was able to find this one truck that went all the way to Mexico without anyone knowing. Because after I told them that they did an investigation, and it was like, wow, we didn't even know that. And now we know that there was a gap between their ERP system and their TMS system. And that was like a great experience.